I took my son to his first chess tournament and caught his billionaire father training his secret twin, who already had Grandmaster training, to defeat him. I specifically designed an AI to analyze every one of your son's matches. My blood froze in my veins as I stood motionless in the doorway, watching Adrian Hayes, tech genius, billionaire, and father of my child, point confidently at a glowing holographic chessboard. But how did he know about Max's existence when I'd never told him? The algorithm predicts Max Morgan will crumble under pressure, Adrian continued, his voice unervingly calm as he addressed his twins. When Emma makes this knight's sacrifice, he'll falter. That's when Ethan delivers checkmate. The same Max who practiced on a chessboard I'd drawn on cardboard because we couldn't afford a real one. This tournament means everything for the Hayes legacy, Adrian snapped when his son questioned the tactics. Max Morgan is the only threat to your victory. We eliminate threats. I couldn't contain my rage any longer. You're using your billion-dollar technology to crush your own son? Three heads whipped around. Adrian's face drained of color as our eyes locked for the first time in 11 years. Natalie, his voice cracked, gaze darting between me and his twins. What are you? Yes, Adrian. The boy your AI has been stalking? The one your precious twins are planning to humiliate tomorrow? He has your eyes, your mind, your blood. The twins stared at their father in stunned silence as the truth detonated between us. Dad, a small voice asked from behind me. I turned to see Max, our son, standing in the doorway, tournament score sheet clutched in his hand, his face a perfect reflection of the father he'd never met. He built an empire predicting everyone's moves, except his son's. Have you ever witnessed someone realize they've been strategizing against their own child? What happens when the chess match everyone came to see becomes secondary to the family secrets exploding on center stage? If you're finding this story of family secrets captivating, take a second right now to hit that like button. It helps more people discover these real human stories that remind us how complicated life can truly be. The moment I stepped into the grand ballroom of the Langham Hotel in Chicago, I knew we didn't belong. The National Youth Chess Championship exuded an atmosphere of quiet wealth. Parents in cashmere sweaters analyzed positions on smartphones worth more than my monthly rent. Children in private school uniforms discussed algebraic notation as casually as mine discussed video games. Mom, my hands are shaking. Max's voice trembled as he adjusted the collar of his simple navy blazer. A thrift store find I'd tailored myself. At 11 years old, he carried himself with a gravity that broke my heart. What if I'm not good enough? I knelt before him, straightening his collar, though it needed no adjustment. Listen to me, Max. You taught yourself chess using library books and free online tutorials. You qualified for nationals through sheer brilliance. You absolutely belong here. He nodded, his hazel eyes, Adrian's eyes, momentarily brightening. When he smiled, I saw shadows of his father in the determined set of his jaw, the analytical furrow of his brow. The resemblance had grown stronger each year, a constant reminder of the brilliant MIT graduate student who'd chosen his tech startup dreams over our relationship. We approached the registration table where a volunteer with pearls and perfect posture checked Max's name against her list. Max Morgan, Chicago sectional qualifier, she read, her gaze lingering on my department store dress. And parent or guardian? Natalie Morgan, his mother. Something flickered in the woman's expression. Curiosity, perhaps judgment. Wonderful. Max is in Group C. Matches begin in 40 minutes. As we walked away, I heard the unmistakable rumble of applause from a gathering near the practice rooms. A small crowd had formed, journalists with press badges hovering at the edges. My heart stuttered when I recognized the man at the center. Adrian Hayes stood in an impeccably tailored suit, every inch the tech mogul who'd transformed artificial intelligence and made billions in the process. Flanking him were two children, a boy and girl around 11 years old, both with Adrian's distinctive eyes and confident posture. A tall, elegant woman with a diamond the size of a small planet stood beside him, her hand possessively on his shoulder. Mr. Hayes, called a journalist with a digital recorder. Your twins are the youngest players ever to reach the candidate master status. What's your secret? Adrian smiled, that perfect media smile I remembered all too well. Natural talent and exceptional coaching. Chess teaches strategic thinking and patience, skills they'll need running Hayes Technologies someday. And the donation to establish the Hayes Youth Chess Initiative, was that influenced by your children's passion for the game? Adrian nodded, resting his hands on the twins' shoulders. Everything I do is for them. Emma and Ethan are my entire world, my legacy. Every company I build, every innovation I pursue, it's all ultimately for them. The elegant woman beside him beamed. We're incredibly proud of them. Indeed, Miss Collins. And I understand congratulations are in order. Your engagement was announced last month. The woman, Vanessa Collins, extended her hand to display her enormous ring. Yes, we're getting married in the spring. The twins will participate in the ceremony. Wonderful. And Mr. Hayes, as our magazine prepares its feature on innovators as parents, could you speak to how fatherhood has shaped your approach to business? Adrian looked directly into the camera. Being a father to Emma and Ethan has been the greatest privilege of my life. Nothing else comes close. They're my only children, and they've completely transformed my priorities. My only children. The score sheet slipped from my fingers, fluttering to the marble floor. His words landed like physical blows. Mom! Max tugged my hand. Mom, you're hurting me. I realized I was gripping his fingers too tightly. I loosened my hold immediately but couldn't tear my eyes from the scene across the room. Adrian was now crouching between the twins, pointing to something on a chessboard while they nodded intently. My only children, not my twins, not the children I'm raising. A complete erasure of Max's existence. Mom, why are you crying? I hadn't realized tears were streaming down my face. How do you explain to an 11-year-old that the father he's asked about for years, the father I'd carefully described as someone wonderful who couldn't be with us, just publicly denied his existence? I recognized someone, I managed, wiping my cheeks. Someone I used to know. That man with the twins? Max's perception had always been unervingly accurate. Yes, an old friend. Max studied my face with that penetrating gaze that mirrored Adrian's. He made you sad. It's complicated, sweetheart. Do you want to leave? His small hand reached up to touch my wet cheek, and the tenderness of the gesture nearly broke me. We can go if you want. I don't need to play. No, I said firmly, retrieving the fallen score sheet. You earned this spot. You're going to show everyone exactly what you're capable of. As we walked toward the tournament area, I heard Adrian once more. Do we want more children? No. Emma and Ethan are everything to me. I can focus all my resources on giving them every advantage. I kept walking, kept breathing, kept functioning because what else could I do? In 40 minutes, Max would be competing in the same tournament as siblings he didn't know existed, watched by the father who'd just told the world he didn't exist. I first met Adrian Hayes 12 years ago at MIT's computer science department. I was a teaching assistant grading papers for the advanced algorithms class. He was the brilliant graduate student everyone whispered would change the world someday. Our relationship began with arguments about efficient coding practices and ended with him choosing his startup dreams over our relationship. Natalie, this is my moment. He had said that last night, his eyes feverish with ambition. The venture capitalists are ready to invest millions, but they want someone all in. No distractions. I'm a distraction? I'd asked, already knowing the answer. That's not what I meant, but it was exactly what he meant. I need 5 years to build this. 5 years where everything else comes second. Including me. He hadn't denied it. Including anything that's not Hayes Technologies. 2 weeks after we broke up, I discovered I was pregnant. I sat in my bathroom staring at the positive test, Adrian's words echoing. Children don't fit in my 5-year plan. Maybe never. I had choices to make. Tell him and watch him resent both me and our child as obstacles to his ambitions? Force him to choose between his dreams and fatherhood? Or let him go, Let him build his empire and raise our child alone? I chose the latter. I moved to Chicago, found work as a software designer, and built a life for Max and me. I never regretted giving him life, but watching him peer through shop windows at chess sets we couldn't afford, those moments stung with what-ifs. "Mommy, why don't I have a daddy like Jacob does?" he had asked when he was 5. I crafted a careful half-truth. "Your daddy lives far away, sweetheart. He's working on important things. Does he know about me?" The question had pierced my heart. "He would love you very much if he did." Now, watching Max prepare for his first match, I wondered if I'd made the right choice. Adrian had indeed built his empire. Hayes Technologies was revolutionizing everything from medicine to climate science with its AI innovations. And clearly, he'd found room for children in his life after all, just not our child. Next match, Max Morgan versus Daniel Kovac, announced the tournament director. Max squared his shoulders and walked to his assigned board. His opponent, a boy 2 years older with an established rating, smirked slightly. That smirk faded as the match progressed and Max methodically dismantled his position. Watching him play, I saw Adrian in every calculated move, every patient setup. Chess had always been Adrian's game too. He'd played in college, talked about becoming a master before artificial intelligence consumed his focus. Had that genetic gift for strategic thinking passed to Max, manifesting without his father's knowledge or influence. "Checkmate," Max said quietly, 47 minutes into their match. The boy looked stunned. His father, standing nearby, looked equally shocked. "Who is this kid?" I heard him mutter to another parent. Indeed, Adrian Hayes's unknown son, the secret child who shared his brilliance but not his privilege. I felt a prickle at the back of my neck and turned to find Vanessa Collins standing beside me. "Your son plays beautifully," she said, elegant in a cashmere wrap, her engagement ring catching the light. "Thank you. So do the twins. They're Adrian's biologically, but I've been in their lives since they were 4. She extended her hand. "Vanessa Collins. Natalie Morgan." I shook her hand, acutely aware of my unmanicured nails against her perfect ones. "Morgan," she repeated thoughtfully. "Is Max's father here today?" The innocent question detonated in my chest. "No, it's just us." "Oh." Her expression shifted to practiced sympathy. "Single motherhood must be challenging. You're very brave." I can't imagine doing this without Adrian's support, financially and emotionally. Brave. The word tasted like ash. There was nothing brave about my choices, the secrets I'd kept. Before I could respond, a bell signaled the end of the round. Children streamed toward their parents, including Max, his face flushed with victory. "Mom, I won again." He threw his arms around my waist. Over his head, I watched Adrian lift Emma onto his shoulders while Ethan recounted his match, Vanessa nodding encouragingly. The perfect family portrait. "Mom," Max pulled back, his face creased with concern. "You keep looking at that man. Do you really know him?" My heart stopped. "Why do you ask?" "You stare at him like he hurt you." And, he hesitated, "He kind of looks like me." The floor seemed to drop from beneath my feet. How perceptive children can be. Before I could formulate a response, I heard footsteps behind us. "Excuse me, Ms. Morgan?" I turned. Adrian Hayes stood 10 feet away, his twins behind him, Vanessa at his side, looking curious. Our eyes met. I watched recognition dawn slowly, then confusion, then shock as his gaze dropped to Max standing beside me. He saw it immediately, the hazel eyes that mirrored his own, the analytical furrow of his brow, the determined set of his jaw. "Natalie." His voice cracked on my name. "Hello, Adrian. You're in Chicago? I thought Boston. We moved here 11 years ago." His eyes kept returning to Max, calculating. I could see the mental arithmetic happening, Max's age, the timing of our breakup, the undeniable conclusion. "This is your son?" The question emerged, strangled. "Yes." "Max, say hello to Mr. Hayes." Max extended his hand politely. "Nice to meet you, sir." Adrian shook his hand mechanically, his face pale beneath his tan. How old are you, Max? 11. I'll be 12 next month. I watched the final piece click into place. May, exactly 9 months after our last night together. Adrian. Vanessa's voice held a note of confusion. Do you know these people? He seemed incapable of finishing a thought. Behind him, the twins were growing restless. Dad, we need to practice for the semi-finals, Emma said, tugging his sleeve. The word dad seemed to snap Adrian back to reality. He looked between Max and his twins, his expression a complex tangle of emotions. Of course, he managed. To me, his voice dropped urgent and low. We need to talk, please. There's a cafe on the mezzanine. Can you meet me in 20 minutes? Every instinct screamed to refuse, to protect Max from whatever revelation might unfold. But Adrian's eyes, desperate, pleading, wore down my defenses. Max has matches to play. Please, Natalie, 20 minutes. I'm begging you. When had Adrian Hayes ever begged for anything? All right, 20 minutes. If you're finding this story of family secrets captivating, take a second to hit that like button. It helps more people discover these real human stories that remind us how complicated life can truly be. And if you're wondering what happens next between Natalie and Adrian, subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion of this emotional journey. The cafe was quiet, with a play area where Max happily worked on chess puzzles on a provided tablet. I had positioned us at a corner table with clear sight lines to him. Adrian arrived precisely 19 minutes later. Alone. Where's your family? I asked as he sank into the chair across from me. Vanessa took the twins to their coaching session. He paused, running his hands through his hair in a gesture of frustration I remembered all too well. Natalie, please, is Max mine? The question hung between us like a blade. I could lie, could protect Max from this man who had just publicly claimed others as his only children. Could preserve the safe, small world we'd built together. But I was so tired of lying. Yes, the single word seemed to steal all the air from the room. Adrian's eyes closed. His hands gripped the table edge until his knuckles whitened. When he spoke again, his voice was barely audible. Why didn't you tell me? You made it very clear that children weren't in your 5-year plan, that they were incompatible with your ambitions. That was a conversation about timing, not... He broke off, shaking his head. You should have told me anyway, Natalie. You should have given me the choice. Like you gave Max the choice today? The words came out sharper than I intended, but the wound was too fresh. You stood in front of cameras and journalists and called Emma and Ethan your only children. Do you have any idea what that would have done to Max if he'd understood? The color drained from his face. I didn't know. That's the point, Adrian. You didn't know because I didn't tell you, and I didn't tell you because you were very explicit about not wanting children until you'd secured your first round of major funding. I leaned forward, my voice dropping to a fierce whisper. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have told you. But you don't get to act wounded when you've spent the last 11 years building a life complete with a fiancé and twins you publicly celebrate, while the child you didn't know about has been asking me why his daddy doesn't want to meet him. Silence fell between us, heavy with recriminations and regrets. Across the cafe, Max looked up and waved. I waved back, forcing a smile. He's brilliant, Adrian said quietly. His endgame technique, it's extraordinary for someone his age. He taught himself chess from library books when he was 6, top of his class in everything. Wants to be an AI researcher or a chess grandmaster. He can't decide which. I felt my throat tighten. He asks about you sometimes. His father. I've always told him you live far away, that you would love him if you knew him. It's not his fault. Adrian's voice cracked. God, Natalie. None of this is his fault. No, I agreed softly. It's mine and yours, but never his. What happens now? He asked, suddenly looking exhausted. I don't know. What do you want to happen? I want to know him. Be part of his life if you'll let me. And Vanessa? The twins? How do they fit into this scenario? You're getting married in the spring, Adrian. You're building a life with them. Adrian's jaw tightened. Vanessa and our relationship is complicated. We got engaged for the wrong reasons, business connections, complimentary public images, her relationship with the twins. There's no real foundation there. Don't you dare blow up your engagement and then blame it on us, I said sharply. Max doesn't need that guilt. I'm just saying that discovering Max has forced me to confront truths I've been avoiding about what I really want, about whether I'm building something real or just something that looks good on paper. He met my eyes directly. I'm asking for the chance to know my son. I'll handle Vanessa. I'll handle the complications. But please, Natalie, don't keep Max from me out of anger at my mistakes. The vulnerability in his voice reminded me of the man I'd fallen for 12 years ago, before success and ambition had consumed him. We take it slow, I said finally. Very slow. He doesn't know who you are yet. We'll start with you as an old friend of Mom's who wants to get to know him. If, and only if, he's comfortable, we can tell him the truth eventually. How long is eventually? However long it takes for me to trust that you won't disappear when fatherhood gets inconvenient, or when it conflicts with your wedding plans, or your next big acquisition. Adrian nodded slowly, accepting the terms. All right, your rules. I'll follow them. He paused. Can I ask one thing? What? Don't keep him from me as punishment for my mistakes. Whatever anger you have toward me, and you have every right to it, please don't let it affect Max's chance to know his father. The request was fair even if it stung. I won't, I promised. But Adrian, if you hurt him, if you make promises you don't keep, if you treat him like he's less important than the twins or your business or your wedding plans, I will end this permanently. Understood. He stood, then hesitated. Thank you, Natalie, for raising him, for doing it alone when I should have been there. As I watched him walk away, I wondered if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life or finally corrected one from 11 years ago. Max won his semi-final match with an elegant queenside attack that left spectators murmuring appreciatively. His path to the championship match was complete, and tomorrow he would face Ethan Hayes, his half-brother. I watched Adrian across the tournament hall. He stood beside Ethan's board, his face a complicated mix of pride and conflict. He kept glancing toward Max, then away, as if afraid someone might notice the connection. That evening in our hotel room, Max finally asked the question I'd been dreading. Mom, why was Mr. Hayes looking at me so strangely? And why did you get so upset when you saw him? We were sitting on his bed, the chessboard between us forgotten. That's complicated, honey. Is he my father? The direct question knocked the air from my lungs. Why would you think that? Because we have the same eyes and the same way of thinking. I noticed when he was coaching his twins. And because you look at him like he broke your heart. I had underestimated his perception again. Yes, I admitted softly. Adrian is your biological father. Silence stretched between us. Why didn't he know about me? This was the hard part, the moment where my choices came under the harshest judgment possible. My sons. When I found out I was pregnant with you, your father and I weren't together anymore. He was launching his company and had told me he wasn't ready for children. I made the choice not to tell him because I thought I was protecting everyone. I thought you'd be better off without a father who might resent you, and I thought he'd be better off focusing on his dreams. But you were wrong. Not an accusation, just a statement of fact from an 11-year-old whose world had just shifted on its axis. Yes, baby, I was wrong. I should have told him and let him make his own choice. I'm so sorry. Max was quiet for a long moment. Does he want me now, or does he just feel bad? The question broke my heart. He wants to know you, Max, very much. But he has other kids. The twins. They already know chess really well. Yes, he does have other children. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for you, too. He twisted his fingers together. Another gesture he'd inherited from Adrian. What happens now? Whatever you want. If you'd like to get to know him, he'd like that too. But only when you're ready. What about the finals tomorrow? I'm playing against his son. You play your best chess. That's all you need to worry about. He nodded, but his expression remained troubled. Will he cheer for me or for his son? Another question I couldn't answer. I don't know, sweetheart, but I'll be cheering for you always. Max crawled under the covers, his mind clearly racing. Just as I thought he'd fallen asleep, he spoke again. Mom, I have a sister and a brother. The wonder in his voice made my eyes sting with tears. Yes, you do. That's so weird. He paused. But kind of cool, too. He drifted off to sleep soon after, but I lay awake for hours, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Would Adrian acknowledge Max publicly? Would he tell the twins? How would Vanessa react when she discovered her fiancé had a child he'd never known about? More importantly, how would Max handle playing chess against a brother who didn't know they shared the same father? Every parent wants to shield their child from pain, but some situations simply can't be managed or controlled. All I could do was be there for him, whatever happened. Have you ever discovered a family secret that changed everything? Drop a comment below sharing your experience. And if you're finding this story meaningful, remember to hit that like button. It helps the algorithm bring these authentic human stories to more people who need to hear them. The championship match was set in the hotel's grand ballroom. Spectators filled every seat. Cameras from chess publications positioned to capture the historic final between Ethan Hayes, son of tech mogul Adrian Hayes, and Max Morgan, the unknown prodigy who had upset 3 rated players. I sat in the front row, heart pounding. Across the board from Max, Ethan adjusted his pieces with practiced precision. They looked so similar it took my breath away. The same analytical gaze, the same contemplative frown. Adrian entered with Emma just as the match was about to begin. Vanessa was noticeably absent. His eyes met mine briefly before he took a seat directly between our positions, not choosing sides. The game began. Max played brilliantly, matching Ethan move for move in a complex Sicilian defense. An hour in, they remained evenly matched. 2 hours, and Max gained a slight advantage. 3 hours, and they entered an endgame with Max pressing forward. I watched Adrian throughout, noting the pride that flickered across his face at each boy's clever move. He was experiencing something few parents ever would. Watching 2 of his children compete against each other at the highest level, neither knowing the truth of their connection. When Ethan finally tipped his king in resignation, the room erupted in applause. Max had won the national championship. Adrian stood frozen, clearly torn between congratulating Max and comforting Ethan. In the end, he approached his son first, kneeling beside his chair and speaking softly. Ethan nodded, wiped his eyes, then did something unexpected. He walked to Max and extended his hand. "Congratulations," he said. "That was an excellent Sicilian." "Thank you," Max replied, shaking his hand. "Your knight sacrifice on move 23 was brilliant." Ethan smiled slightly. "My dad taught me that." The irony of the statement hung in the air, unrecognized by either boy. Adrian approached next, Emma beside him. "Congratulations, Max. That was exceptional chess." "Thank you, Mr. Hayes." His eyes held a depth of emotion that couldn't be disguised. "I was wondering if perhaps you and your mother might join us for dinner tonight to celebrate your victory." Max looked at me, questioning. I nodded slightly. "We'd like that," he said. As we walked toward the award ceremony, Adrian fell into step beside me. "Vanessa saw the resemblance immediately," he said quietly. "She's called off the engagement." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was inevitable." He hesitated. "Natalie, I've made so many mistakes. The biggest was letting you walk away 11 years ago." "Adrian, please, just listen. When you left Boston, I threw myself into building Hayes Technologies because it was easier than facing how much I'd lost. I convinced myself that success would fill the emptiness. It never did." "You have a beautiful family," I said. "The twins adore you." "Yes, and I love them. But there's been a Max-shaped hole in my life that I didn't even know existed." His voice dropped lower. "And a Natalie hole I've been trying to ignore for a decade." My heart stuttered. "Don't say things you don't mean." "I've never meant anything more." His fingers brushed mine briefly. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I haven't earned it yet. I'm asking for time. Time to know my son. Time to show you I'm not the man who let ambition blind him to what really matters. Ahead of us, Max stood talking with the twins, already finding common ground despite the competition. 3 children connected by a bond they didn't yet fully understand. One step at a time, I said. Dinner tonight. That's all I can promise. Adrian nodded. It's more than I deserve. The dinner that evening was awkward but strangely beautiful. We sat at a private table in an upscale restaurant. Max beside me, the twins across from us, Adrian at the head of the table. Emma peppered Max with questions about his chess training, seemingly impressed that he'd learned largely on his own. Dad hired the best coaches in the world for us, she told him matter-of-factly. Grandmasters from Russia and Hungary. We study 4 hours every day. 4 hours. Max's eyes widened. I just play at the library on Saturdays. Mr. Grayson from the chess club gives me pointers sometimes. Ethan looked genuinely confused. But how did you get so good? Max shrugged. I read a lot of books about chess strategy, and I practice against the computer. Adrian watched this exchange with a complicated expression. Pride mingled with guilt. I knew what he must be thinking. His unknown son had achieved through raw talent and determination what his other children had accomplished with every advantage money could buy. Mr. Hayes? Max said suddenly. Are you really my father? The question silenced the table. The twins looked between Adrian and Max, clearly confused. Dad. Emma's voice was uncertain. Adrian took a deep breath. Yes, Max, I am. And Emma, Ethan, Max is your half-brother. I only learned this yesterday. How could you not know you had another kid? Ethan asked, his brow furrowing. That's a complicated adult story, I intervened. But what matters now is that you all know each other. So we're family. Emma looked at Max with new interest. I guess we are, Max said cautiously. That's why you play like Dad, Ethan said, studying Max's face. I noticed during our match. You think the same way he does. The simplicity of children's logic never ceased to amaze me. While the adults in the room were drowning in complications, the children were already moving toward acceptance. Are you going to live with us now? Emma asked Max. No, I answered quickly. Max and I have our home in Chicago. But we'll see each other, Adrian added. If that's what everyone wants. He looked at me for confirmation. I nodded slightly. We'll figure it out. After dinner, while the children were distracted by dessert, Adrian leaned closer to me. I've told my lawyers to set up a trust for Max, equal to what the twins have. We don't need your money, Adrian. I know you don't, but it's not about need. It's about what's right. He's my son. He deserves the same advantages I've given Emma and Ethan. I couldn't argue with that. Max deserved every opportunity. And there's something else, he continued. I'd like to move the Hayes Technologies Chicago office expansion forward. I was planning it for next year, but I'll accelerate it. I want to be close enough to be part of Max's life. You'd relocate your headquarters for him? For both of you, he said quietly. If you'll let me try to be the man I should have been 11 years ago. I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in a decade. Behind the success and power and polish, I could still see glimpses of the brilliant, passionate man I'd fallen in love with at MIT. But there was something new too, a humility, a perspective that the younger Adrian had lacked. I'm not making any promises, I said, but I won't stand in the way of you knowing your son. Thank you. His relief was palpable. And Natalie, I know I have no right to ask, but might there be a chance for us? Not now. Not until I've proven myself. But someday? The question caught me off guard. I'd spent 11 years building walls around my heart, telling myself I was better off without him. But watching him with Max tonight, the gentle way he listened to him, the pride in his eyes when he spoke, had triggered something I thought long dead. One step at a time, Adrian. Let's focus on the children first. He nodded, accepting my non-answer with grace. One step at a time. 3 months later, Adrian had kept every promise. He'd moved into a modest townhouse in Chicago, splitting his time between there and Boston, where the twins lived with their mother. He never missed a weekend with Max, never canceled a planned activity, never made him feel like an afterthought. Max blossomed under his father's attention, with proper coaching arranged by Adrian, but selected by me to ensure he wasn't overwhelmed. His chess improved dramatically. He talked about his half-siblings constantly, counting the days until their next visit. The twins had adjusted surprisingly well to discovering they had an older brother. Emma seemed particularly thrilled to have another sibling who shared her analytical mind. Ethan, after some initial jealousy, had become Max's fiercest defender, once lecturing a tournament director who'd questioned Max's rating. As for Adrian and me, we were cautiously rebuilding something. Not romance, not yet, but a foundation of trust and respect that might someday support more. He joined us for Sunday dinners, helped Max with science projects, occasionally lingered after he went to bed so we could talk. "I've been thinking about what you said that day at the tournament," he told me one evening as we sat on my small balcony. "About me making it clear children weren't in my 5-year plan. Adrian, we don't have to rehash. Please let me finish. You were right. I was so focused on building Hayes Technologies that I couldn't see beyond it. But the irony is, having children, the twins, and now Max, has made me better at everything, including business. More empathetic, more forward-thinking, more aware of the world I'm helping create. Fatherhood suits you," I admitted. "Better late than never," he smiled ruefully. "Though I'll always regret the years I missed with Max. You can't get those back, but you have now and the future." He reached across the space between us, taking my hand. "Do we have a future, Natalie? You and me?" The question hung in the air, weighted with a decade of might-have-beens. I looked at our intertwined fingers, remembering how perfectly they'd always fit together. "I think maybe we do," I said softly, "if we're both brave enough to try again." "I'm brave enough." His thumb traced circles on my palm. "Are you?" Instead of answering, I leaned forward and kissed him gently. It felt like coming home to a place I'd forgotten existed. When we broke apart, Adrian's eyes were suspiciously bright. "I don't deserve this second chance." "Maybe not," I agreed. "But Max deserves parents who are happy. And I think, despite everything, we might be happiest together." The next morning at breakfast, Max looked between us with that unervingly perceptive gaze. "Something's different," he declared. "What do you mean?" I asked innocently. "You and Dad. You're looking at each other differently." "Dad." He'd started calling him that just last week. The first time he'd said it, Adrian had excused himself to the bathroom where I suspected he'd shed a few tears. "Your mother and I are trying to figure some things out," Adrian told him carefully. "How would you feel if we spent more time together as a family?" Max considered this seriously, then broke into a brilliant smile. "I'd like that, and I bet Emma and Ethan would too." Emma told me last week that their mom's new boyfriend doesn't know anything about chess or computers. Adrian and I exchanged looks. It seemed the children were already several steps ahead of us. "One day at a time," I reminded them both. "One day at a time," Adrian agreed, but his smile held the promise of many days to come. If there's a moral to the story, perhaps it's this: secrets don't stay buried forever. The truth emerges in unexpected ways at unexpected moments. But sometimes, when the dust settles and the initial pain subsides, what remains can be stronger, more authentic, and more beautiful than what existed before. If you've stayed with me through this entire story, I want to thank you. Perhaps you've experienced your own family secrets or complicated relationships. Perhaps you're still wondering whether to reveal a truth you've been keeping. Whatever your situation, I hope this story reminds you that healing and redemption are possible, even after years of separation and misunderstanding. If this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and join our community of authentic human storytelling. Share in the comments if you've experienced similar family revelations, or if you're still holding on to a secret you're afraid to tell. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in our complicated journeys is the greatest comfort of all. Remember, It's never too late for truth. It's never too late for second chances. And it's never too late to rewrite the ending of your own story.